Hey,
Hello.
how are you?
Doing pretty good.
Good. Are you excited?
Mm.
So, you haven't watched the fifth one yet.
No, I have not.
Right. It's done though.
Mm.
It's done. It's posted. Go watch it. This one, you will have noticed, very different.
Yeah.
Can you tell us why it's a little
So
different?
we upgraded our editing software.
Welcome to the new setup, I guess.
Hmm.
Same stuff, same format, just a lot cleaner. We're gonna jump in. There's a new intro
No,
for your segment as well.
no fancy.
Yeah,
Is it still the
no, it's
no? Okay.
everything's a little different. Everything got retired because the graphics
Mm,
don't really work in the new program, but
gotcha.
there's a lot of it's just completely different.
Everything's new and upgraded.
Everything looks a little better.
All right.
So, who is gonna go first today?
Mm.
Roll the dice. So we will get set up and
We'll
we'll go.
flip a coin and we'll figure it out.
Okay. Are we really gonna flip a coin?
Nah.
Okay.
Heads or tails?
I call it in the air.
No, call it in the air. Okay.
Yeah. That's
It is heads.
all right. You're going first then.
Okay.
All right. Here we go. Let's get excited.
Okay.
Say it.
Woo.
I meant let's go.
Mm.
Not gonna say it.
Let's go.
You thought you were gonna go straight to one of our super amazing, super cool segments,
Mm.
but you're not. We're gonna take a little break and ask everybody to
Share.
subscribe,
Comment.
do all those things. We're cool.
Oh yeah.
Look at the camera. We're cool.
And hip.
Woo! Can you do finger guns? All right, back to the show.
Anything that irks me, I talk about. People fascinate me and the choices that they decide to make.
Anything else you'd like to say about it?
Nah.
Fair enough. Do you have your thing today?
Yeah, I do.
You sound sad.
I'm not sad.
You're not sad.
I feel bad always talking about work.
Oh,
But
it's a
that's kind of
work.
all I got.
That's not all you've got.
As it pertains to ranting diatribe stuff, I'm not gonna.
Oh, do you ever think you'll do 10 on your wife?
What?
Do 10 on your wife.
What's that mean?
It's like a comedy set. Do 10 on your
Oh,
wife.
I see. I see. I see.
I literally don't even know.
My topic will be about people calling into the store and asking random stuff.
Okay, go.
There was in a world,
In a world.
you used to just go to a store
This is true.
and you would just see if it's there, the
Yeah,
thing that you're looking for or
right?
not.
It's
If it
called
wasn't,
shopping.
yeah, if it wasn't there, then you'd be like, okay.
Mm.
And then you'd go someplace else or you'd go back home.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that people don't live extremely close
Okay.
nowadays to stores. Some people do, some people don't.
All
So if
right.
you live 30 minutes away, I really don't want to make a 30-minute drive not to get the thing that I want.
That's fair.
So let me call the store and see.
Okay.
If I say, yeah, we got it,
Uh-huh.
then it becomes 50 questions.
Like what?
Like, do you have this food? Yes, we do. Okay, can you go and check? I'm looking at it right now. Are you sure it's this one with this thing and this thing?
Right.
I'm looking at it right now. Yeah,
Right.
my eyeballs are on it. We've got 6 on the shelf.
Right.
Yes, we've got it.
Mm-hmm.
Or my favorite, do you have crickets?
Oh. Why is the crickets your favorite?
It's a sarcasm favorite because you don't go check if we've got crickets unless you're just expecting that you're going to get the call.
Mm-hmm.
But you go in, you clock in, you do your stuff that you're supposed to do, and
You
then
eyeball if there's crickets or not.
yeah,
Okay.
and then someone's like, "Hey, do you have crickets?" I don't know. Let me go look. I'm like, yes, we do. Okay, what sizes do you have?
Uh-huh.
We've got all of them. Okay, how many of each? Well, we got 20 of
I'm
these,
not counting them.
30 of these, and 50 of these.
Uh-huh.
Can you hold all of them? No, we can't.
I cannot. They're live. They're
Why not?
alive.
This is
Anything with a
poop.
heartbeat.
I'm the customer.
Right.
It's like,
Mm-hmm.
just come on in.
Mm-hmm.
We got stuff we got to talk to you about anyways. Just come on down.
So what's the solution to this problem? People stop it.
People, stop it. Just come on in.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that for you.
If you live more than 45 minutes away, you get the call.
Okay. So there we've set a bar.
Yeah.
Anybody 44 minutes away and less,
Yeah.
don't bother.
Nope.
Where
come on
do
down.
you live? All right, send us home.
This has been David's Diatribe.
That's a good one. I love that for you.
Not at all hot take, a lukewarm look at something that has happened that I'm like, I would like to offer my 2 cents on that subject. If I am topical, it was topical 15 years ago. So let's take a lukewarm look at something nonsensical and fun.
So I've got a lukewarm take
Okay.
today. It is not a new lukewarm take. Many people have discussed this topic before, but I just want to offer something to the conversation.
All right.
So today's lukewarm take is going to be all about the lovely, the amazing, the from the block, J-Lo. So here it is. I feel really bad for her.
Okay.
Did you think it would be meaner?
I wasn't sure.
Could go either way. She had a really bad year. She started off with the movie thing, her visual album, but it was a movie, but it wasn't a visual album. It didn't really have an audience.
Yeah. Was that biography thing that we watched? Was that
So
something
that was the
different?
documentary about her making the album movie thing. So there was that. Both of those things didn't do very well. They were somewhat well reviewed.
It was intriguing.
Sure,
The one that
I
we
enjoyed
watched.
watching it,
Yeah.
and I'm sure she got paid for it.
Sure.
But then she was supposed to go on tour, and it didn't really sell all that well, and so she had to cancel the tour.
I was gonna say, didn't she cancel the whole thing? Yeah.
And then no sooner than that happens is like the movies she's putting out aren't getting a lot of any good stuff, and then she's like divorcing.
That one is the most intriguing to me.
Why?
The Ben Affleck J-Lo thing.
Yeah, well, I feel like
Take Two.
if she would have gotten in there the first time, they had a shot.
I think they had a shot the first time. Then it, for whatever reason, I don't know, fell apart. And then there were a handful of years, right?
Like 20.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you're
Quite a
like,
few.
let's try again.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think my favorite video gif of them is when they went to get coffee or something, I don't know.
The door.
And he opened the door for her and then slammed it and then just kind of like walked around, and then there was somebody and he was like,
I
hey.
would be so heartbroken.
Yeah.
So you had like, that's a private moment.
Yeah.
And maybe he's exacerbated because the cameras are there. Like maybe it's not with her, but maybe it probably was. She just kind of got just like one right after the other last year. So I don't know. I don't know that we need a J-Lo comeback, but I have a heart for everything she went through.
Yeah.
This has been my lukewarm, not at all hot take on sweet, sweet Jenny from the block.
You never know what the main topic is.
I never do.
You like it that way.
I do.
It surprises you, excites you.
Excites, intrigues. I don't know if it ever shocks me.
Well, that'll be my goal, is to shock you.
Are you excited about today's main topic?
I'm excited to learn what the main topic is.
Okay. I'm going to apologize in advance.
Okay.
Okay. So we're going to start with a syllogism.
Okay.
If I say you know what the topic is, and I always tell the truth, then you know what the topic is today.
That would be incorrect
Why?
because I never know what the topic is.
So you're inserting another premise.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, if it's something that we have talked about before, then in theory, I do know what the topic is.
Ooh, like subconsciously.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But you have not explicitly told me what the topic is today.
Okay.
So your statement of I always tell the truth so you know what the topic is, to me, is incorrect.
I'll say it one more time.
Mm.
If I say you know what the topic is today,
Mm-hmm.
and I always tell the truth,
Mm-hmm.
then you know what the topic is.
You know what the topic is.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But I always tell the truth,
Mm-hmm.
according to what I've written down on my little paper
Mm-hmm.
here. So if and therefore.
If and therefore, yeah.
If and therefore. So if I say you know what the topic is,
Mm-hmm.
and I always tell the truth,
Mm-hmm.
therefore you know what the topic is. Today's topic is argument.
Okay.
I can see the light bulb go off. It's
Mhm.
so much fun.
Mhm.
I don't know why I enjoy that as much as I do. So basically, what I want to talk about today is argument, argument style, the correct way to argue,
Mhm.
and how most often we find ourselves arguing. And
We as a society?
I'm saying the royal we,
Okay.
like everybody, everywhere.
Gotcha.
How we end up arguing with each other. Because I think it's important to be able to have productive arguments.
Yeah.
But when I learned of this particular thing,
Mhm.
it really struck me because the way that I have been not taught to argue, but the way that I have learned to argue.
Yeah, you learn to, yeah.
It's just it is designed to go in a circle and never be resolved.
Yeah.
So with the syllogism that we have here,
Mhm.
which is if and therefore, right? That's the structure of my argument. I am putting it out there on the premise that I always tell the truth,
Mhm.
and I have said you know what the topic is.
Mhm.
Therefore, the conclusion must be that you know what the topic is, right? So, an argument, correctly, you would not argue the conclusion ever
Mhm.
in an argument. Can you think of any argument where you've not argued the conclusion?
Yeah, I think you always argue the conclusion.
That's not right.
Yeah.
So if you want to if you want to take apart an argument, you disprove the premise.
The premise, yeah.
Right. So in that, I always tell the truth is pretty easily disproven,
Yeah.
right? You just produce evidence of something else, and you can use another syllogism for that. And then I could object to that and blah, 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 blah. But that thing,
Quirks.
the crux, you never argue the conclusion
Mhm.
if you want the argument to eventually end.
Right.
Because the conclusion is the thing that is that's like your knowledge base. And if you are trying to tell somebody the therefore is wrong, they will only ever just keep saying the first two things. And that's why arguments go in circles and circles and circles and circles.
Mhm.
Are you thinking of any arguments in particular? What are your thoughts on that whole spiel?
I mean, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think I would say the majority of individuals will argue with the conclusion,
Mm-hmm.
because that's typically the
hurtful one.
the bad thing,
the one
like
that stings.
you've done the thing wrong, or I've done the thing wrong, or this thing got messed up, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The journey there, most people are going to be okay with whatever you say.
Yeah.
Most people. There are some people that just nitpick everything.
Right.
But I think most people care about the end of the statement.
Right. Can you think of an argument that we've had, and you can go deep or light, it doesn't really matter. Can you think of an argument we've had or you've had in your life where it was like, if I had framed this differently, it might have resolved differently?
Yeah, I would say there's been a handful
Mm,
where we would talk
mm,
and my interpretation of the conclusion
mm,
was incorrect. And I would base my behavior
mm.
on my interpretation of the conclusion. And then you would be like, that's not, because it's good to have an argument. Maybe you don't finish the argument all the way.
Mm-hmm.
And so you come back around to it like a day later or something.
Yeah.
And then you touch base, you see where everybody's at. And so we have done that before where we've had an argument. We're like, okay, we're getting as far as we can here. Let's circle back around tomorrow.
Right.
And then we do. And I have found that my interpretation of the conclusion was off. Sometimes a little, sometimes a lot.
Okay.
And
I really want to know, what are you talking about? Like specifically?
Specifically with
And I can take this out if it's
Yeah,
something we don't want to share.
just like
Oh, okay. Yeah, that will not make it.
Yeah.
That's not going in.
so my interpretation of the conclusion and how you felt about it
Uh-huh.
was interpreted wrong.
Uh-huh.
And so we would wait a day, we'd circle back around, we'd talk
Right.
about it a little bit more.
Yeah.
You would say things that enlighten me
Mm-hmm.
onto what the actual problem
Yeah.
was.
It would also probably be helpful if I said what the actual
Well-
problem was.
You know,
It's hard. How do you feel about that? Have you ever heard the never let the sun set on your anger?
I have
Never go to bed.
never go to
without-
bed angry or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like-
What do you think about that? Because I have feelings.
yeah. I mean, it's nice in theory, right? Like that.
Why?
The idea of like, don't go to bed angry with your spouse. It's like, yeah, like you want to finish what you started, right?
Mhm.
But that isn't possible the majority of the time
Right.
because no one wants to stay up for 12 hours
Right.
having a conversation about a thing.
I can't picture a topic that would get better with more time and less sleep.
Yeah. Like it's 3 a.m. We've talked about this for 5 hours already. Like we need to go to sleep.
We need to go sleep.
Somebody's got work. Maybe both of you got work.
Right.
Like,
And even if one or both of you do not sleep, like the sun will rise tomorrow.
yeah.
And even if it's not like
Bet your bottom dollar.
bet your bottom dollar, even if it's not something that you're less angry about, time for anything to cool off
Yeah.
is a good idea.
Right. Yeah. You can retain the information that everyone has shared.
Yeah.
You can kind of mull it over. You can see where you were wrong. You can see where they were wrong. You know, however you want to look at it.
Yeah, so that takes us into like the bigger group.
Mhm.
I'm scared that people
Mhm.
cannot say they're wrong anymore. That's a
Yeah, I mean,
genuine
it's tough.
fear that I have. Why? What has happened that it's just like, I was wrong. Oh well.
Yeah. I don't know because I have no problems with it. Like, you know what? That's my bad.
Yeah,
And
but you'll get in a conversation with someone, and I think we all know what we're talking about, but where just no matter what is put in front of your face,
Yeah.
it's just double, triple,
Yeah.
quadruple down on, no, I'm right, and I'm going to argue with you about it.
Yeah.
And the argument is just utter nonsense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they usually are. And there are particular types of individuals that will just, whatever I'm thinking, whatever I was taught, whatever I believe,
Mm-hmm.
that is what is true. And it does not matter what you tell me. I mean,
How does somebody get there?
I don't know. I mean, how many Jordan Klepper videos have we watched where he was doing the rallies
Yeah.
and they would say some off the wall stuff and he would be like, "Oh, so like that's bad." But like he did this stuff too, right? And he's like, "Oh, well, but they don't care. They're like, haha, like, or just shut down,
Yeah.
or like that's just the way we are now."
But that's really a scary
Yeah.
place to occupy because how do you have a conversation with somebody?
I mean, it gets,
This is useless philosophy, but I think this might be useful if we
yeah.
crack a code.
Yeah, I don't know. Because I'm the type of individual that I will have a conversation with anybody
Yes.
until you show me who you are. Somebody that is not
Unreasonable for the sake of it.
correct. If they're just not meshing,
Mm-hmm.
if they got wild ideas about certain things, it's like, all right, man or lady, like I'm out.
So you will shut down.
Yeah. I just disengage.
Yeah.
Because to me, it makes more sense to just disengage because I don't want to have to continue that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't argue with a wall. So I would
Do you
rather
think
just,
there's a part of them that they're saying the same thing?
yeah, I'm sure.
But what do you think that looks like in their head? Like, I'm going to convince him right now.
I don't know if convincing is the right term. I would say I'm owning that guy right now.
So it's like dominance.
Yeah.
It's not, I want somebody on my side. It's, I want to make them feel stupid.
Yeah.
How do we plan to teach our children to argue in this
I don't
world?
know. Well, because, they're going to school or
Yeah.
they're getting older.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to have more intellectual conversations and arguments.
Yeah.
And so it's a fine balance of, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy?
I want to fight with you.
Yeah.
I reject both
I know.
premises. Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? No. Outright. There is a right and wrong.
There is, yeah.
And I like that may be where part of my concern is there is a right or wrong. And I don't want to teach anybody. I don't want to demonstrate for anybody that it's better to just walk away than to do the right thing.
Well, sure.
To do the right thing is the choice that I would like to see my children make and that I would strive to make in my own life.
Yeah.
I guess that balance is like personal safety.
Yeah, like do the right thing. Do the right thing when you're talking to someone that is just not open to the discussion at hand.
Yeah.
Do you just keep going until both of you get angry? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
maybe your disengagement is the way to go.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think something you have to be aware of feelings, emotions, the temperament of yourself and the person that you're speaking to.
Yeah.
Now, granted, this is not necessarily applicable to every sort of conversation that you're ever going to have with someone, but like you have to be able to feel out a conversation. And if it's getting to a point where in your normal life, if you are just you're not meshing, you're not clicking, they aren't picking up what you're putting down, to me, just disengaging is better than just bearing down. Now, if they're being crazy and they're talking nonsense, then, there's the proper thing to do. And if it's a relationship type thing, you're going to have to figure that stuff out. You're going to have to figure out how you guys communicate, how you receive information, all that good stuff.
Where do you think defensiveness comes in? And like, why does that manifest as argument? Like, why does somebody telling us something that may be correct, but opposite our view?
Yeah.
Why do you think there is that just, no, you do.
I've thought about it, and the only thing that I can come up with is they were taught by their parents, by their teachers, by whatever, the things that they believe. And they never really did any like self-research on any of the stuff. So like their parents taught them X, Y, and Z. They go through life believing X, Y, and Z. They get to college, they get older, and somebody tells them X, Y, and Z is wrong. And they're like, nah.
So it hurts.
Yeah.
And they have to defend it.
Yeah. And if they don't go to college and then they just deal with people in the outside world, then it's like, no, I've lived on this earth for 30 years and X, Y, and Z has always been this way. I don't understand what you're talking about. I'm going to go back in my bubble now.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Just the isolationism of that is factional.
Yeah. That's the only thing that I can believe.
Yeah.
To be true is just the way that we receive information from the internet, from Fox, MSNBC, whatever. Like you pick a side most of the time and you only hear from that side.
Do you think there are any truly neutral people?
Probably not.
So angry.
Well, no, I'm angry.
Disappointed.
Yeah, I'm angry / disappointed because I think there were some organizations that tried to be neutral.
Oh, like reporting wise?
Reporting wise.
Yeah.
But then money came into it. You've got sponsorships. You've got the public talking about random stuff on Twitter. And
Aaron Sorkin, the newsroom. I think that was a big... I remember seeing that for the first time and being like, oh, he's onto something there.
Yeah.
The whole discussion about bias towards fairness, that every viewpoint needs an equal microphone.
Yeah.
And that's entertaining.
It's entertaining.
Sure. It's not necessary.
I would say it's incorrect to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if one side gets more play, if one side gets more play than the other, they're gonna scream bias, freedom of speech, you're censoring me, blah 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 blah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. What's the best argument you've ever had, and what's the worst argument you've ever had?
I don't know. I'm not one for arguing. I'm not a huge fan of it.
Yeah. Do you have arguments? Do you play them out in your head?
I mean, sure.
Like afterwards or during?
I mean, not during. No, I don't have the brain capacity for that. Afterwards, sure. Like, maybe I could have phrased this a little bit differently so that we wouldn't have gone down this.
Is it always reflective? Do you always point it at the person you're arguing with?
I always point it at me.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever retroactively thought about the person on the other end.
Yeah.
Like how they argued, because they feel the way that they feel.
Yeah.
Maybe they said some crazy stuff. I don't know. But
yeah. How do small things become huge things?
Just the unwillingness to bring it up because you don't want to bother them, because it's something small that's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But then it keeps happening, and then it snowballs, and then finally you see it for the 5th time, and then you freak out.
Oh my God, put your toothbrush in the cup! Yeah. Any argument you wish you'd had with me or anybody else that you didn't, because you just sort of just like...
Yeah, I mean, to talk about expressing your opinions, there were a lot of arguments that I never got to have with past relationships.
Yeah.
Because we were having an argument at the tail end of it.
So it had already gotten away from
Or a decision was made that was important.
Yeah.
And so there was no room for me to express a feeling, because so much of the room was taken up with these other people's feelings.
Right. So your influence wasn't going to play a part?
It didn't matter.
Okay.
It didn't matter.
Yeah.
They had a decision that they have already made. They're just now deciding to tell me.
How do you get to don't care with something you're, passionate about or in love with,
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's just me,
Yeah.
but I'm the type of individual that will day by day, and if you feel a certain way about something, then okay.
Okay.
If it's something that is heavy enough, I'm probably not going to change your mind. I don't know if I'd want to change your mind.
Right.
So why
Ooh, that's interesting.
why would I say my side of things
Yeah.
if it doesn't matter?
I don't want to change your mind. I like that.
Yeah.
I think that's super interesting because that is very much how you argue. Somebody will say something and you just accept it as their truth,
Yeah.
whether or not it's the actual truth.
Right.
That's very insightful.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Well, yeah. Not necessarily with you, but with other individuals. If I'm having an argument with someone or just having a conversation with someone and they say something that I believe to be incorrect,
Mm-hmm.
depending on what it is, I may just let it go because I don't care enough
Mm-hmm.
about the individual, about the conversation to dive deeper into
Yeah.
what they said is nonsense.
Yeah.
And so it's for me and my lack of caring, it's just easier to let them continue.
Yeah.
I'm not changing their mind. I'm just going to be like, okay, see you later.
Very good.
Have a good one.
Wow. How angry with me would you have to be for that to be your attitude toward me? She says with a mischievous grin. I want to know where the line is.
I don't think that I would like to think that I wouldn't get there.
Yeah.
Just because of what we've got going on.
Right.
With our life and kids and all that stuff.
I would probably have to be trying to antagonize you, and I don't think I would do that.
Yeah.
You're not fun when nobody's fun when they're like pissed, but
have there been any arguments that you've had that you like your best and your worst that you can recall?
At this season of my life,
Mm-hmm.
I don't find a lot of tolerance for argument. I have adopted a lot of your philosophy when it comes to that kind of thing, but like accepting people at face value.
Yeah.
And stop. And this isn't entirely credited to you. When I was having like my breakdown years, 28 to 31, let's say, just really realizing that no matter what picture you paint in your head, it's not going to become who's standing in front of you.
Yeah.
So trying to argue your point of view and say like, but don't you see this picture? Like, don't you see how wonderful this is? Be like this. Like at some point I learned or adopted, like, no, you're telling me exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
And you are showing me exactly who you are. I don't have to go like, but if I squint, I can see somebody really good in there,
Yeah. Well, I mean, and they've got their own picture that they think.
Sure. Yeah. Well, and I this is kind of touching on the topic of last week. I've been very fortunate in that space. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care about what people think. Like, I have a very solid self.
Mm-hmm.
So if people do think that about me, I believe you. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to fight you on who you think I am.
Yeah.
Argument. We're arguing wrong. Royal we. What are your final thoughts on argument?
Just don't.
Just don't?
Yeah. No. I think it's important to have empathy.
Yeah.
And understanding. We have watched a show where the key word was grace. You need to give me grace.
Right.
Which, sure, but for how long?
Mm-hmm.
Like I can only be graceful for a certain set of time.
Right.
If you up 4 times in a row,
right.
If you mess up 4 times in a row, then I'm going to be angry.
You have to be willing to absorb what you're hearing
Yeah.
and make a change or don't.
Or don't.
And if you're not going to, in your argument style or whatever it is you're talking about, like, I have no intention of changing this. You can accept that or don't.
Yeah.
But then that becomes the argument.
I mean, sure. Yeah. It's like, this is how I am. Take it or leave it.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably not the way to word it. It's like, this is how I am.
Mm-hmm.
You take the good with the bad.
Yeah.
If you do not like that, that is your choice.
Mm-hmm.
But I am who I am.
Right. You want to have an argument right now?
No.
Why not?
I don't like to argue.
I don't like to argue.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are your final thoughts on arguments?
I was not prepared for that.
Mm.
Yeah, just look at who's in front of you.
Mm.
We're all people. Take a moment. If you're saying something ridiculous, try to find space to realize that everything you say could be ridiculous. Be reflective.
Reflective, yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably a good one, yeah.
I don't know what I just said. But, you know, if you start from a baseline of ridiculosity, you've got nowhere to go but up.
True.
I think that's a good place to end it.
Ridiculosity.
New word.